Hey guys, so I wanted to just jump on here really quickly to kind of go over, I wanted to go over this article. I talked about the Nate Parker incident, and we all know the Birth of a Nation just was released yesterday. So I want to do this just to show you the mentality of these evil albinoids, and what they'll do is they'll take any opportunity they can to desecrate a project that a Black person is doing and associate it with negativity. This is the way conditioning works, and I was talking to you guys about conditioning and the effectiveness of it in the video that I did yesterday. And this is one of those examples. So when you take something and you keep associating it with negativity, you condition the mind to make that same association. So what they're doing is they're trying to associate this Birth of a Nation movie that's a true story that actually really shows the demonic and disgusting nature of these evil albinoids and some history that they just don't get taught in school. So as I suspected the response to be, typical of the evil albinoids, very visceral, very dismissive, very deflective. And I'm going to show you some comments on the reviews for this video so you're going to be able to see their response. And I took it from two completely different reviews because, again, I always tell you, the majority of these people have the exact same mentality. They really do. This is why I say they're not a progressive group of people. This movie took place in the 1800s. We already know slavery has been over for over 100 years. We had Jim Crow that's been over for about 50 years and dealing with the same mentality. And so what they'll do is, and this is an issue of white feminism as well, because you have this title where they're talking about rape victims' whole protest in Hollywood against Birth of a Nation. Now, the interesting thing is the dude that plays the dad on Seventh Heaven came out and said that he and admitted to being a child molester. You didn't see this the same protest out there for the studio. They were still running the show. They didn't boycott it. You didn't see the feminists out trying to bring attention to rape when that cop was raping a string of black women. You don't hear the feminists coming out to bring up rape as an issue on account of all the Black women that were raped 50 years ago during the Jim Crow era and beyond. You never hear them coming out to try to get justice for those rape victims at all. But the feminist was on hand during the Bill Cosby situation, where those women were claiming to be raped 30 and 40 years ago as well. They attacked that situation and used it again with the Black man. They used it to push propaganda, but then they'll tell you, oh, we're trying to bring light to rape. It's really interesting because you also have a lot of white feminists that have attached themselves to Amber Rose, this slut walk. So in one breath, you're attaching yourself to a movement that says you should be able to be promiscuous, you should be able to present yourself promiscuous, and people should accept you. But then you're also over here trying to desecrate this movie about Black empowerment that shows a Black male slave fighting out against white terrorism. Then you see them attaching it to this. So I just want you guys to get the manipulation and how they pick and choose these. They'll say that they're about rape culture and bringing it to women's rights. What they're really about is highlighting white female victimization, which is what they always do all the time. And they want to attach that to a Black man. This is why I don't understand why Black women attach themselves to this feminist movement. Feminism was a concept that was constructed and implemented by white women. Why Black women would attach themselves to anything that has to do with white women is beyond me. It really is. I don't even understand it. Anyways, it says Nate Parker's film Birth of a Nation is finally hitting theaters today. This came out yesterday, despite all of the controversy surrounding the film and its director. But that doesn't mean there aren't still people who don't want the movie to see the light of day. Of course they don't, because if they're going to watch a slave movie, they need to see a slave movie where Black people are disempowered, especially the Black man. They don't want to see the Black man in a strong, they don't want to show a black man in a strong position where he's authoritative, he's leading a revolution, he's trying to right a wrong against white people. Again, they'll defend everything, every injustice that a white person does. They'll defend the disgusting history of slavery. They'll even hide it. But what they won't do is they don't want to see a black person fighting out against this. Again, this goes with the same thing of them when they want to bring up MLK now. Whenever you speak about, black people empowering themselves and getting ready to defend themselves, then they want to say, oh, well, what about MLK? Mind you, keep in mind, they'll leave out the fact that when MLK led the civil rights movement, they weren't accepting of that. They actually called him a terrorist. They met it with extreme violence. So they're basically doing the same thing they do now. Again, this is not a progressive group of people that you're dealing with. On Thursday night, protesters honoring victims of rape and sexual assault. Now, mind you, they're honoring victims of rape and sexual assault, but they were nowhere present during that time when the officer, that evil Albanoid mercenary, was charged and convicted of raping 13 black women. They were nowhere around during that time. When that evil Albanoid mercenary drugged that little girl through the school, they were nowhere near around. So these feminists, they're very, very selective in what they do. But again, if you know who you're dealing with, you're not going to be surprised. They gathered at the ArcLight Cinemas in Hollywood for a silent candlelight sit-in at the first screening of Nate Parker's highly anticipated film. Reportedly, around 30 to 40 people joined in the progress, which was highly organized by the group. I guess they're trying to say fuck rape culture, that is made up of artists, filmmakers, and women in Hollywood. Now, notice that you only see a group of evil albinoids. This is what you guys need to understand. No other race on the face of the planet has said anything at all, or who has made any type of backlash at all, or any negative response about Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation, except the evil albinoid population. You didn't see Asians saying anything about it. You didn't see Latinos and Hispanics saying anything about it. Indians didn't care anything about it. You only have this one group of people, these evil albinoids that come out and do stuff like this. This is why I'm saying they are a plague to this earth. They are the ones that bring up all of this. They are the ones that does all this. No one else does it. It is only them that do it. If you look in this picture, you will see a group of evil albinoid women and trying to claim victim, and one confused what looks to be half white black woman. So the thing of it is and this picture doesn't even show her, but by and large, you see a bunch of evil albinoids. They're the only ones who do this. This is what I'm saying. A bunch of suspected white supremacists have a Birth of a Nation protest vigil in front of a theater in Hollywood. Now, this is what Tariq tweeted, which is good. Remy Holwick, the founder of Fuck Rape Culture, said at the sit-in, we were approached by women in Hollywood who felt this case was so complicated, and the conversation came up about how to respond in any way that respected how important this film was for people of color. But what does this film have to do with you sitting here with rape culture when it wasn't white women that were being raped in those situations? It was black women. We already know they don't ever come up and fight when black women are being raped, because you could have brought this to light during that trial with the evil albinoid mercenary who raped the 14 black women. If you really wanted to bring light to rape culture, because you would have said this is very problematic because you have people in positions of power who are able to rape people and get away with it. That would have been the opportune time for you to bring up rape culture. That's what you could have done. But to sit here and try to desecrate a movie just shows you the mentality of these devils, because what they're doing is they're trying to bring up a situation from a 17-year-old rape case that, by the way, a jury of white people determined that this man was not guilty of any rape. You simply had a historical white female who was very promiscuous, which is very typical, and what she did was something that happens across the nation probably on a day-to-day basis. So she was extremely promiscuous. She was obsessed with Nate Parker. She basically sat in a bar and stalked him. She sucked his dick the first day she met him, claiming she didn't want to have sex with him. Then she went and had sex with him and multiple other men because he wasn't paying any attention to her. She cried rape. This happens all the time. We have a history made up of this. Okay, so let's not forget that false rape accuser culture, because we really need to bring that to light too, because it's very problematic. I'm not willing to overlook the fact that we have a history of evil albinoid females falsely accusing Black men of rape. Okay, that is a problem that we really need to be bringing light to. We really need to be highlighting that. That's the rape culture that we need to talk about. She continued, we came up with a silent vigil that does nothing to condemn the makers of the film or Fox Searchlight, but does work to show that there is a space for this film to both hopefully do very well and know that people of color can do very well in Hollywood, and also honor these victims of rape and sexual assault who may have been buried in the conversation a little bit. Again, that's not what this movie is about. This movie is about a slave revolution and a Black man trying to get justice for being victimized by white devils. So why are you putting rape into that situation? This is the manipulation that they'll do. They'll try to tell you, oh, we're not trying to condemn the filmmaker, but we are trying to do a vigil in front of his movie opening. Really? No, that's exactly what you're doing. You're trying to associate his movie, and you're trying to overshadow, which they've been doing, his movie with rape. And that's really just not what it is. Because again, there are many other spaces that you could have done this. You should have been doing this out during that trial when that evil albinoid mercenary was raping those Black women. That's what you should be doing. A volunteer at the silent vigil, Stephanie Phila-Jones, think that with the release of this movie, there was an opportunity to be intersectional. How? And they missed the mark. No, actually, no. See, this is the thing. They always want to coach. They know this is a Black movie. They know that this Black movie is going to get a lot of publicity. So what they want to do, they want to try to insert something into it that has nothing to do with it. That's what they want to do. This situation has nothing to do with them. So why are they even taking his movie as an opportunity to get their agenda across? It has nothing to do with your agenda. What you're trying to do is what these evil albinoids do all the time, and try to co-opt Black stuff, infiltrate it, and make it about them. I think that it was a real chance for Nate Parker to recognize that the definition of consent was something that he didn't know at the time. Oh, really? Because up here you said that we came up with a silent vigil that does nothing to condemn the makers of the film. But then when you go down here, you're saying, I think it was a real chance for Nate Parker to recognize that the definition of consent was something that he didn't know at the time. See, this is why Nate Parker should be suing this person for making that comment. A jury of his peers already determined that she did consent to it. So if they said he wasn't guilty of rape, then that means she consented. So why are you putting that he didn't know it was a real, for him, he didn't know the definition of consent? It's like, really? But again, Black men put themselves in this position. They put themselves in this situation because the bottom line of it is, if he had never associated himself with a white woman, then he wouldn't be dealing with this situation. And then to go out and marry one right after this situation just shows his stupidity. It shows the level of stupidity that runs deep in Black men. This is why I think he's doing a disservice to Nat Turner by even playing them. Because you have Nate Parker that is a coon. I don't care what anyone says. You have Nate Parker that is a coon that had a white woman falsely accuse him of rape, and then he went and married another one. So you have this man who's obviously trying to assimilate with the white culture, playing a man who was trying to break down the structure of white supremacy. It is a big contradiction, and he should not even be playing this character. This is an insult. Him playing it is an insult to Nat Turner. It really is. But you have to look at the language. By her saying, I think that it was a real chance for Nate Parker to recognize that the definition of consent was something that he didn't know at the time, she right there is basically saying he raped her. Despite the fact that a jury of his white peers said that he didn't, despite the fact that anyone with some common, who wanted to be fair and neutral, could simply go read the court documents and see that this was simply a lying slut that just ran and crying rape like they typically do, then you wouldn't, but you have, again, propaganda. Because she's basically saying, oh, I don't care that you went through a trial when you were proved innocent. You're still guilty because you're a Black man and that was a white woman. That's what she's saying. I think that there was a chance for him to say sorry for what he did, and he could have elevated the voices of survivors that don't have voices. Really? See, this statement right here, he should be suing her. But you have this dumb, passive black man. How are you going to sue the people that you're laying down with? You cannot fight white supremacy and marry into it at the same time. You can't do it. This is why he lets these things pass, because again, he's married to a white woman. He's clearly very partial to white women. So that is going to change his entire perspective of the white community as a whole. So of course he's not going to go out there and sue her based on that one statement, which let me tell you, if that was me, he could open and shut, he could close that, he could shut her all the way down. He could sue her down to the nasty shampoo that she washed her wet dog smelling hair with if he wanted to, just based on that statement. Because she's basically saying that he raped that woman. He already went through a trial and a jury and a judge said he didn't. So why are you even mentioning this? They already said that he didn't do it. So the bottom line of it is she shouldn't even be making these statements. And the fact that he is a coon is going to prevent him from acting in the manner that he should. I'm telling you, the mentality and a certain type of black man that marry and have sex with and date white women. There is a certain type of them. And it's not a strong black man who is going to be any adversary to the white establishment. They're not. Nate Parker is a threat to no one in the white community. He really isn't. And the thing of it is, with this, you can best believe this will be the last project he put out, because he will be blacklisted from Hollywood with this. You can best believe, guarantee, he will not have any successful projects after this. I can bet money this will be the last one he has. The group released a statement on Facebook saying, "We recognize the need to hold space for those celebrating the advancement of people of color in Hollywood. But you were nowhere to be existing when there was an evil Albanoid mercenary raping 12 black women. Where were you then? Those are women of color. Shouldn't you have been out there then?" While continuing to fight for victims of sexual assault. The 12 juries of white people said that she wasn't, they said she wasn't a victim. Actually, they determined based on the evidence that she was no victim. She was simply a promiscuous, evil Albanoid female who had a night where she had loose sexual morals, like most of them do. And then when he didn't date her or pay attention to her because she wanted to be in a relationship with him, she cried rape like they usually do. And the funny thing is, she wants to, they're saying in here, they want to bring light to this, but yet they're ignoring the fact that we have a whole history made up of white women falsely accusing black men of rape. It's so interesting and convenient that they want to escape that. Now, I'm going to leave this in a link in the description. I want to show you guys some of the comments on the reviews of this, because here's the things that you guys must understand. I always tell you that their self-esteem is built up on and dependent on what black people are doing. This movie poses a threat to them in that it shows black people actually standing up and fighting racism. They want you to just give racism a pass. They want you to sit there passively and do nothing. And this movie shows that they weren't doing that. Even when they were in worse situations than you, they were fighting. So they're worried that this movie is going to spark black people to get up and fight and do something they should have been doing a long time ago. So the thing of it is, what it also does is, because if you look up the story of Nat Turner, when they caught him, what they did was they showed exactly how demonic they were. They beat him, tortured him, hung him, then skinned him, and used his skin to make leather products out of. Okay, this is nothing that they teach in school. So the thing of it is you have a group of people who look in the media and go by media propaganda telling you that black people are violent, black people are savage, black people are vicious. And the way that they're able to do that is because they don't tell the truth about what they've done. They'll tell you, oh, it was just slavery and forced work. They won't tell you that it was brutality, it was savagery, it was ongoing torture, it was rape, it was them doing vile demonic things to which your imagination can't even conjure up. Your imagination cannot conjure up the extent of demonic activity that they engaged in to the likes that no one has repeated ever again. It's very hard to call someone savage and violent and brutal when you had them skinning people, okay, and using that skin to make leather products. When you had them mutilating and cutting off people's body parts and putting them in windows and using them as souvenirs. It's very hard to pass the message that the group of people that you did that to are more violent than you. So you have them, again, they don't like the truth. So when you expose the truth about them, it chips down at the wall that they are the moral paradigms, and it starts exposing the demonic nature, because again, they still have the same mentality that they had back then. Now, I'll leave this in here. Let me see if they're going to put this in here. If they're going to put in the end how they did that. Turner's own shift from Christ-like grace to Jehovah-style wrath. Now, look, what with that right there, they're saying he broke free of the passive Christian vomit, and he went on to start fighting as he should have. It's not without its heavy-handed moments. One crucial scene in particular will play indefinitely better without the obtrusive poisoning of a stained glass window, and the cutaway to Turner's ancestral visions begin to verge on kid. I don't know what that means. But at its core, this is an intelligent probing and an inquiry into the uses and abuses of organized religions as we've seen in recent American movies. Exactly. And also the rare slavery drama in which it's the ideas far more than whipping and lynching scenes that provides the deepest impact. Historians will have a field day debating the accuracy of the man's dramatic trajectory. Basically what they're going to do is, historians, they're saying, is going to have a problem with the fact that he's showing the true mentality of these evil albinoids. So they're going to find whatever way they can to try to discredit him. That's what they're saying. The most vigorous discussion will center on the film's ferocious, frustrating, and inescapably cathartic climax, in which the tremendous strength of his classical storytelling, as well as his dramatic lapses, stand in perhaps the sharpest relief. Parker's filmmaking suddenly shifts into the brutal, blood-soaked idiom of the war movie, in which various shades of moral gray are resolved in a queasy eruption of red. At the Sundance screening, the applause that greeted certain killings proved as telling as the ancient hush that followed others. The Christ figure's overtones hovers over more stirringly and disturbingly over the movie's final moments, and you may be forgiving if your mind drifts for a moment toward Braveheart. The movie can be given as well. The Birth of a Nation exists to provoke a serious debate about the necessity and limitations of empathy, the morality of retaliatory violence, and the ongoing Black struggle for justice and equality in its country. So what they're basically saying is that we don't want Black people thinking that they should go out and fight and get revenge, because that's what they mean by retaliatory violence. Oh, we are trying to give Black people the false misconception that violence is not the answer. We don't abide by that, but we need Black people to believe that, so that they don't rise up and fight like this film is trying to inspire them to do. Because at the end of the day, that's a fear that they have of Black people retaliating, and rightfully so, against their demonic natures. Now let's look at these comments so you can really get into the mind of these evil albinoids. And it says comments are moderated. They may be edited for clarity and reprinting in whole. Okay, so basically Variety controls what these comments say. So we should say, did they show the white woman and children being decapitated and axed to death? Again, their struggle, they have a competition to try to prove that they went through the same stuff, that they were victims, not the villains. Again, no responsibility taken, none at all. Immediately their mind goes to, how can we defend this and compare it and make it seem like we went through the same thing too? Is it legal to use the title of another film for your film? Sounds like an Islamic leftist tale of revenge, terrorism, and murder. No, actually, it sounds like an evil albinoid tale of terrorism and murder. As I have always said, when more Black movie producers start to make all different types of movie about Black history, that this will help to educate American society about the true reality of the Black experience in America. Again, although none of them have pictures, you can tell by the comment who's representative of what race. You really can, because you gauge the mentality. The mentality is what you need to understand. And the mentality that they have is a mentality that I need to cling to a lie. I need to cling to it for my dear life, because this lie is what my self-esteem is built upon. I can't believe that we are evil albinoid devils and we really did terrorize people. So now I need to defend it and try to compare it to some way and try to say that we went through the same thing. It's cool for a guy to go on an international murdering spree in a fictional story. Actually, it's not fictional. See, this is the thing, that they think this is fictional. It's not fiction, to save his daughter, but people have a problem with the true story of a man standing to say, oh yeah, okay. It's cool for a guy to go on an international murder spree in a fictional story. Oh, he's talking about, what's that movie called? Taken. To save his daughter, but people have a problem with the true story of a man standing to save his entire race from the physical and mental oppression, only because it paints a very real picture of the white mentality in America at that time and now. Just more, I could have wrote this comment myself, just more hush hush and denied. Looks and sounds like butthurt bias to me, but hey, usually it's the sign that it hits home. Only a hit dog hollers. And some only want to bash it because it was so real and close to home for some. White directors can make a slave film with the throwing a cement block in the ocean with slaves attached, killing millions on the way to America, and it be celebrated. But let a black man of integrity tell a very vivid, real, and truthful story about uprising and fighting for freedom, and it's a problem. Get over it. Nate Parker, he's not blessing. So I was with it until then. That's the thing. Look at the mentality, because it's true. The mentality is still here. They only want, again, if they didn't have this demonic mentality, they would be saying, okay, they would be with the film. They would be. They wouldn't be trying to defend it. They will be with the film. But the reality of it is they have this demonic mentality where they only have a problem when you expose the nasty and the evil at the core of the albinoid community. They only have a problem with that. Oh, you can be in a movie with slaving and killing black people. That's just completely fine. But the minute you expose the devilish nature of these evil albinoids, that's when it's a problem. And look, just how many white people today are you comparing to having that mentality compares to things like the film portrays? 95%, I would say. What exactly do you want white people to think and feel about a film like this? And do you want them to do something after seeing it? If so, what? And do you think only black people have, again, what did I say? They always have to find a way to say, oh, black people aren't the only one that went through this. We went through this. They went through this. No, nobody's gone through anything like what black people went through but black people. Have you ever learned about the sweatshops that poor white children and women worked in? Let's look at the mentality. The mentality of a group of people that would compare working in a sweatshop, okay, to the horrors and the demonic and devilishment of slavery. Gauge the mentality. No accountability, no empathy, nothing. And I'm telling you, because they are incapable about it. He's in one breath trying to sit here and defend the mentality and try to say, oh no, that's not the mentality. But then you're showing the mentality. This is how stupid they are. I'm telling you, they're one-dimensional. They're not progressive. They can't be anything but who they are. That's why you guys really need. They are not going to be anything but who they are. It doesn't matter, young or old, male or female, foreign or domestic, they are the same. They don't have the capacity to have the accountability that you need. That's why they're saying, well, what do you expect white people to think? It's not about you. This film isn't about you. See, they always have to insert themselves into something. This is the sociopathic mentality that they have. And do you think only black people have been treated badly? Have you ever learned about the sweatshops that poor women? Please kill yourself. Have you ever heard of the queer stockages that gay people were put in the South Pacific Islands? Okay, so again, a person choosing to have sex or tell somebody about their sexual identity but again, their mindset, they are mentally retarded, okay? So their mind can't think this. This is why they're coming up with the false equivalencies. I can name other things, but the point is that there's enough offense to be found in history for everyone if one wants to look for it. And it's like, really? I'll leave the rest of these comments. They're disgusting. You can look into them. But the thing, I would encourage you to read them because you need to understand the mentality that you're dealing with. A lot of Black people are still confused. They don't understand the mentality. That's why you try to debate with them. That's why you try to get them to understand you. That's why you try to get them to think on a level that they are incapable of. I keep trying to tell you guys, these are disgusting, evil, devil, sociopathic psychopaths, and you just don't want to get it. This is who they are. They take it. There's many things that exposes their mentality, and you should just, the only thing you should do is immediately look at something, go to the comments and say, let me find out about their mentality. I'm trying to bring you their mentality. Situations like this exposes who they are at the core. This is who they are. And until you act on it, realize it, act accordingly, you're going to be confused. I'll leave the links in the description box. I don't want to make this video too long. I think it's already near a half an hour, if not more. But I'll leave all the links in the description box. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and thanks for your support.